Where is Skullface?
I'll never tell you.
Where?
Okay. Everything you need to know is here.
Good. Kept you waiting for the review, huh? Don't worry, it'll be worth it. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, is freaking superb, okay? It's easily one of the best games of 2015. It should be in your collection right now. Go get it. I don't care if you don't like stealth. I don't care if you don't know shit about Metal Gear. Just go out and get it, okay? Because you're like me, you know, you won't regret it. And that's coming from somebody who hasn't played the previous Metal Gear Solids, except for Ground Zeroes. Now, if you have already bought it and played it, you need to watch our post-review discussion section, because there's just so much we can't talk about here in this review, fun bits that are spoilers in that video, but we're not going to spoil things here, okay? For here, and for all intents and purposes, this is simply the best stealth action game of all time. It's among the very best open world games that you can buy. It is a strong Game of the Year contender, and an already pretty damn strong year. Now the game opens with a fascinating, puzzling, and almost nightmarish cutscene setting up the world. It really lets you know what sort of universe you're going to be dealing with and what you're going to continue to see later on in the game's story. Now it picks up right where it left off with Ground Zeroes. You remember when a certain bomb exploded and caused Snake serious injury?
Bobby! No! Okay. I can't help it.
So will you be lost if you've never played any of the other Metal Gears? Admittedly, yes, but there are tons and tons of tapes that you can acquire along your journey that just fleshes out the mythos as you play. In fact, I was surprised by the amount and length of these tapes in lieu of longer cutscenes. Kojima seems to have instead focused on the gameplay in Phantom Pain. And while he succeeds in this with flying colors, I did end up feeling like there was a bit of story maybe missing here, at least towards the end.
Now go! Let the legend come back to life.
So you play as Punish Snake that has venom in him. Or maybe it's Venom Snake that has been punished. In any case, you're Big Boss, okay? A legendary character in the lore, and we find out just how this character evolves and how he ends up becoming the way he is in the previous games, which were set after the events of this one. But basically, to break it down, this game is a simulation of owning your very own private military corporation, the Diamond Dogs. You become the boss, complete with staff recruiting, base management, vehicle and equipment, and weapon upgrades. Just tons of personal customization at your mother base. And you'll watch as this expands in a sort of game within a game, metagame. Just, it builds itself up throughout into this huge, sprawling military complex with your soldiers at your beck and call. I mean, merely gracing them with your presence every once in a while gives them an increase in morale.
Thanks for that, boss.
And despite Boss's insistence that he prefers to work alone, it's always good to bring one of the game's buddies with you to help you out in battle, to kill your enemies and fulfill your objectives. My favorite being That's right, this cute little puppy grows up to be one big, strong wolf dog that can go out on missions to murder your enemies and just be this loyal friend. Shit! Fuck! Damn it! Damn! D-Dog! D-Dog, where are you? D-Dog! I need you! Attack! Attack! Good boy! Good boy! You got him, boy! You got him! Yes, you did! Who's a good boy? Yes, a good boy! Yeah, good boy! Good boy! Go get him! Go get him! There's also D-Horse that can hilariously shit on command and cause havoc for vehicles.
Go on.
There's D-Walker, who is a speedy walking mini Metal Gear thingy with Gatling guns and a mobile Fulton. And of course, Quiet, the controversial underwear lady. Look, I'm not gonna get into a debate about Kojima's creative freedom with female characters or whether or not Quiet is shamelessly objectified here, because she is! Period, okay? What the hell is going on in here?
Getting ready for battle.
You're going to battle in that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, just gear up, Quiet. You know, you're not being very quiet. Just get your sniper rifle, let's go.
Fine.
What are you doing now? What? Stop it! What are you doing?
Distracting the enemy.
No, you don't pose for battle.
Apparently
Stop
you
it.
do.
Just come on, let's go. I know that Kojima said we would be ashamed of ourselves for pointing out her bikini, but that just isn't the case by the end of the game. The thinly veiled excuse for her powers does not change at all the fact that she's treated as pure fan service. The camera angles are done on purpose for it. Created that way, not because it's the way Japanese games are, as some would claim. No, but she's basically there pretty much for any teenage boy fantasy, some, and sexy cosplay. I mean, for Christ's sake, her avatar is her boobs! Boobs! It's not like Snake's avatars for his new clothes is his crotch in different camo schemes. it's just a small misstep, as pretty much every other character here is unique and interesting. Even if they do sort of seem like different versions of themselves, like Ocelot and Miller. But everyone, you know, is entitled to their opinion on this, but mine is that I prefer not to be blatantly ham-fisted sexy stuff at the level of a 15-year-old, okay? I'm not against sexy characters. I mean, Witcher does this far better, and I know Kojima can do that too, but just what matters most over character design is gameplay. So let's get back to the gameplay. Gameplay is king. I can't stress enough all the countless ways you can approach it in this open world. You basically make this particular Metal Gear your very own in any way possible. It's far less linear than previous iterations, and it's just wildly ambitious. After being airdropped in via helicopter, you'll usually want to survey the important areas with your binoculars, which is going to mark the enemies to stay marked without the use of a map. So from here, you can pretty much go in guns a-blazing, take the classic stealth approach, or try out some new tactics that you come up with, like sniping every damn one of them with quiet while you mop up the stragglers screaming their heads off as they run. It's a breath of fresh air that the game doesn't really punish you for using one tactic versus another one. Do you want to call in air support to have your helicopter blast music and tear through a base giving you trouble? Well, go right ahead. But make sure you've taken down key things like air defenses or gunships prior to doing so. Need to switch up your gear from tranquilizers and non-lethals to a different playstyle like grenade launchers and RPGs? Call in a 30-second supply drop. Hell, do it on some bad guy's head. By the end of your mission, you'll receive a rank and a badge that pertains to your style of play. And seeing all the different animals and icons for all the different playstyles was intriguing. And even if I wasn't hitting S rankings every freaking time, I felt like I had accomplished something, more rewarding. It's just cool to know that it's okay to suck at stealth in what's supposed to be a traditional stealth-only franchise.
Mission complete, and how? They're gonna tell stories about this one, boss.
It just makes the game better for it. Part of the reason why I didn't play previous Metal Gears was I wasn't that into stealth. And this was a far better introduction to gradually making me love and appreciate this approach. So do not let your preconceived notions of what a Metal Gear game is supposed to be hold you back from getting this. And if you haven't tried it out yet. And admittedly, you do start to feel later on you're doing the same activities over and over, especially by Chapter 2, but it somehow manages to remain enjoyable by its sheer dynamic nature. Things can go horribly wrong. They can go horribly right, like sandstorms rolling in that really let you go crazy out in the open, just snapping people's necks left and right under the cover of sand where you normally couldn't. The new reflex mode, I love it. It's carried over from Ground Zeroes. It helps new players and gives those of us a few seconds to make up for mistakes. I really do appreciate it. And now, if you die too much, there's always the chicken hat, which makes no damn sense, but it's hilarious all the same. I also loved how smart the checkpoints were in the game. It really encourages you to just, you know what, roll with your mistakes and make things work under your new circumstances rather than restarting the entire thing every single time. One of the coolest additions, though, has to be the idea of the Fulton extracting device, letting you capture everything that you see that's not nailed to the ground and even stuff that is. What this does is it builds up your forces at home. What works so well is that everything that you collect in this game, from flowers to gun emplacements, have a purpose. Building your combat teams back at home, to providing your base with precious resources that are used to level up and build new facilities. You feel like this scavenger with purpose to explore every inch of the level, extending that playtime and really the enjoyment of the open world. Especially finding those highest ranked soldiers, that A+, and you get all excited in that critical discipline that you need to level up so you can get your next badass weapon. So you have to then ensure their safe capture, and they become like these little dynamic quests of their own as you play through different missions. Every person has a face. I rarely saw the same faces in my crew, if at all. That's a level of detail that's so much appreciated. And you start to care about and recognize those who you've recruited back at base when you return to take a shower or say hello. Which really gives impact to later segments in the game, especially one terrifying moment in particular in Chapter 2 that's just given so much more weight and intensity because the game had you put so much time and effort here. It's brilliant, and it really hammers home the themes covered in the game, which is actually pretty varied and all-encompassing. Real-world atrocities like genocide, racism, biological warfare, post-traumatic stress disorder from war, and even child soldiers in Africa. This game can surprise you as it jumps from serious tones to fantastical, almost supernatural events. It just throws you off. It's an impressive feat and something that Kojima seems to be a master of.
They'll have their own quarters, separate from ours. Won't be counted as staff.
So what, we're running a daycare now?
They'll learn how to read and write. Do basic jobs.
Chance at a real life. Just not from behind a gun.
Being behind a gun's what we do, boss. There's no room for angels in our heaven.
There are about 50 story missions and 157 side operations. And what's crazy is that unlike other games, these side ops have purpose. Often unlocking whole new features of the game, like interrogations and full-blown piece-by-piece weapon customization that cannot be missed. All in all, there's at least 40 to 50 hours of gameplay for the story only. It has 3 separate and different endings, and there's perhaps more than 100+ hours if you want to attempt a 100% run, which I'd actually consider in a game like this because of how strong it is. See, the gripes that I have with the game are so small in comparison to the quality of content here. Like, for example, I felt that Skullface was perhaps a bit of a disappointing villain for the hype and the build-up that he got here. There's this really weird, awkward moment where, after telling you the reasons for his evil plans, the game just kind of forgets what it's doing or is something for a little bit while you just stare at each other oddly listening to music.
So, hey, what's up, Skullface? Yeah. Okay.
And the boss battles, unfortunately, weren't all that great and seemed disappointing, relatively easy and kind of generic compared to what I've heard that are in some of the other Metal Gear Solid games like 2. I also felt that Chapter 2, the game started to have that feeling of being rushed out the door by Konami. The reason being is there's some enhanced versions of older missions that you must do and sort of like a grind that end up making it feel a little bit more repetitious than I had hoped for. It's pretty clear that whatever infamous behind the scenes issues likely probably started to mess with the vision of the game here, and the drama of Kojima and Konami's split may have taken a greater toll than we thought, as it's been pretty much confirmed that chunks of the original story are fucking missing and have been cut from the game, offered only to special edition buyers, which is fucking bullshit. Episode 51, The Kingdom of Flies, was featured in commentaries, suggesting that there was this whole nother campaign. I think data miners actually found Chapter 3 entitled Peace to go along with Chapter 1's Revenge and Chapter 2's Race. On that special edition itself, they show off partially completed gameplay and cutscene sequences from a fourth ending. Now, whether these were cut due to the normal processes of game development, because they sucked or they didn't make any sense, or because Konami was trying to push out the game earlier than Kojima wanted, or whether they were in full dispute by them, I guess we may never know the truth, and that really sucks. But including these in the special edition lends credibility to the idea that these sequences should have been in the game. And if Konami fucked that up, that is unacceptable and bullshit. At this point, I wouldn't even put it past Konami to try to salvage that content without Kojima and just, mix it together and just sell it as low-quality DLC expansion. Regardless of all that, what we did get in the final product is just surprisingly polished and amazing, which makes me long to see what we could have gotten if Kojima had gotten everything that he wanted. Because it's just great. The Fox engine really makes the game shine with some great draw distances, awesome dynamic day-night and weather cycles, an incredible and obsessive attention to detail. I was a bit puzzled by some of the research wait times. They kind of felt unnecessary, as if they are, just pulled directly from mobile gaming and a cow clicker where you build a farm and it takes progressively longer and longer to build. So I got a little scared there. However, thankfully, there actually isn't even a way to speed up the times by using real money. Though it would have been really easy for Konami to put it in. I was expecting far worse in terms of the dreaded microtransactions that I heard about in the game before it came out. And while they do exist, they don't seem invasive at all. And in fact, they're kind of useless. The only thing you can buy is another FOB point, or extra FOBs, beyond that first one that you get for free. And honestly, it doesn't seem necessary at all or important at all to get a second or third FOB. There's just no reason to spend that money on it, especially because these FOBs, forward operating bases, their implementation has been less than stellar. It's essentially the game's multiplayer component for now, while the real Metal Gear Online is being developed for a later time, I think January. But this mode has you build like a sort of second mother base where other players online can invade, and that's where all your extra resources and Fulton stuff goes when your main mother base is full. So it allows you to go over and try to attack enemies or other players and captures each other's valuable stuff like the crew and resources. Everything's at risk there. And honestly, because the experience has been so shitty with lag and cheaters and hackers, it's just not worth it at all right now. You get these annoying notifications that you're being invaded right at like critical moments in my single player game. At least I did. It really annoyed me. So I just turned the mode off as soon as I could, especially when it's not even working right now. It's just something extra that you can easily forget about and still feel that this is one of the best games of the year. So, It's that time, the final verdict for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, is a difficult one. It could easily earn a legendary rating, a 10 out of 10, as a game that other games will be compared to within its genre moving forward. But I feel that when you consider the launch issues, both online and offline, that still haven't been fixed like 2 weeks later when this late review comes out, the repetition of the story and drop off in Chapter 2, some of the lower quality boss battles, and the obviously missing content that we had to talk about, it's hard to score it a full 10. But I'm sure when the Metal Gear Online portion comes out, most of these things will be taken care of, and by that time, the game will easily hit a 10 out of 10. But in its current space, it's the highest possible 9 out of 10 that I can give with an easy, badass seal of approval. Go out and get this game now! Had Kojima been given more time and polish and free reign to finish the game he wanted, and they never split, who knows what we could have had here by the end. But there's still no denying that this is some of his best work yet, a perfect game to send it off. I mean, the transition to open world, the base, the dynamic missions, the gameplay. Kojima did them all so well in this game that it takes this franchise to never before seen heights, which is what worries me if this series continues without him. It's going to be really awkward and a sad day if that happens, and only time will tell whether fans clamoring for more will trump the fact that they gotta overlook his absence, or whether a game that has so many different tones and characters and shit in his head, this spider web of a story, can even continue without him. What do you guys think? Do you want another Metal Gear Solid even if it's without Kojima? Let me know in the comments, and until then, I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
Oh, you spit on me! I just put this end in my mouth. You spit on me.
Damn it!
Gross.
That was a good one! Would I spit in your mouth from up here?
No, you spit on my face.
But I chewed on the wrong side.
Why are you chewing on it? My name's quiet for a reason.
Jesus Christ, Joe, you're gone. Welcome to the gun show.
So shower. The sad thing is, this fits me. Fucking quiet.
Doesn't go fucking quiet.
Fucking quiet. It's quiet time. Wait, it's my catchphrase. You ready? Wait. My catchphrase. It's quiet time, bitches.
Goes that way.
Quiet time, bitches.
Alright, give me the goddamn gun. Yeah.
You looked.
I have to! I am in charge of costumes!
Yeah.
Alright, damn it, ready? Go.
She's a perfect specimen. Good times.